All right, hello everyone. It is currently 8:38 on Friday, August the 11th. I hope you're all doing well. It's the last day of the work week. Finally, the weekend is here. But unfortunately, I wish it was all just great weather for the weekend. Today we are dealing with a few of these thunderstorms to be rolling through. Today looks to be the most unsettled really out of the next 3 days. The weekend looks a little bit better in terms of rain chances, but also that's going to come with some high heat, unfortunately. So hello everyone. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you are joining us online, we're going to keep the stream going for a little bit just to track some of these storms moving through. And if you have any questions on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat so I can answer some of your questions. Love hanging out with y'all too. So let me click on here. All right, perfect. That should be on the stream now. So yeah, let me know how your day's going, how your week's been, if you have any weekend plans or anything. So here's what we're tracking right now in terms of these storms. It is going to be unsettled at times today. Notice as this is kind of a cluster of thunderstorms. We got some yesterday morning. We got some really all this week. And these are pushing through even through the morning hours today. I think they are already beginning to weaken. There's no severe weather with this, but it's still coming with some gusty winds. They have been reporting wind gusts of about 40 miles per hour with some of these. So they could definitely kind of blow things over, but I don't think we're going to get too much severe weather from these storms today. And unfortunately, it looks like more storms will be firing up through this afternoon. So tracking this to moving through over the next few hours. Let me see if I can actually pull this up. Oh, I lost where I was. Here we go. So they're starting to come into our north and west counties right now. Some of these storms right near Butts County, Lamar County, starting to move into Upson County. It's not going to be raining all day, but today's going to be a good idea to stay weather aware, coming with that frequent lightning that's pushing through. Let me see if I can. Do we have this on here? No, unfortunately not. So let's see if we can get a bit of a track going on this. So right now, I'm gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way, I think. The storms are just about here. Go about an hour ago. It's currently 8:40, so let's go back to about 7:40. This is a really fun way to be able to see how fast these storms could potentially be moving. And we put a little ruler in between. Maybe about 40 or so, 37 miles per hour. We can go on the lower end and say 35 miles per hour or so. So if we jump to now, and we put a little tracker on this, we can kind of time this out over the next little bit of some time. And we push it here, let's say over the next 2 hours or so. This is a general estimate of when these storms could be moving through the mid-state for us. So Forsyth at 9:11, Thomaston at 9:05, Culloden at 9:23, Bolingbroke at 9:28, Musella at 9:35, Butler at 9:44, Macon at 9:53, Fort Valley at 10:06, Rutland at 10:03, Warner Robins at 10:21, Perry at 10:27, Jeffersonville at 10:30, and those will be towards the end of that if this actually does begin and staying hold through. But I think this storm system will be pushing through a lot like yesterday morning when we got the quick round of some storms, and then it was generally quiet for the rest of the evening. The only difference today is that we could see more storms fire up once again tonight, and that once these line of storms pushes out. Looks like we're right in between two radar sites here. So what we're looking at here, this is more of the velocity data. This shows the wind structure of the storms. It dives past the rain. The red means the winds are moving away from the radar site, and the green means moving towards. So this is winds heading right in this direction. And usually an indication of stronger winds that the radar is indicating is that brighter colors, the brighter yellows towards here, and these oranges and reds. This is saying the radar is estimating winds up to about 30 miles per hour. So this isn't severe storms, but these are some gusty thunderstorms that are pushing through that could, if you have any outdoor furniture, they could be blown around today with some of these storms, but not seeing widespread severe weather with this, luckily. Hi, Corinne. How are you doing today? It's nice to see you. So stay weather aware over the next few hours. These should be blowing through for the rest of the morning hours, early afternoon, and then we get a few of them bubbling up by the afternoon. Let me see if I can pull up some of the model data, potentially what's moving through. So notice some of the models are showing that we get just some pop-up thunderstorms this afternoon. It's going to be hit or miss with exactly who sees them. I wouldn't necessarily focus exactly where these storms are, but the timing could be pretty on par this afternoon, getting ready for the 5 and 6 o'clock shows tonight. We could have some storms around. We do have a risk for severe weather today. Out of a scale of 5, we're at a 1 for our entire viewing area. That means we could see isolated storms turn severe, but not expecting widespread severe weather. But the primary threat, if we do see any severe storms, will be for damaging winds. And then notice by tonight, we will be calming things down. Now heading into the weekend, once this pushes through, the heat dome begins to expand again. We got the storms from it. It begins to expand our direction. So it is going to be very, very hot when you factor in the humidity. Today we're areas that it doesn't rain. We could get up to a feels like temperature around 102. Pretty standard, honestly, for this time of the year. But notice Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, temperatures could be feeling like they're above 110. That's in that extreme dangerous category. To be in this danger category right here, that's a heat advisory. To be up in this top category, that's an excessive heat warning. So we're going to have to see. There's definitely some heat alerts that will be issued from the day today and for the weekend for some of this extremely high heat. So for the weekend, bottom line is you really do want to stay cool and hydrated. Have a way to stay cool for yourself, but also for your pets. They need some cool drinking water as well. And never leave anyone unattended in cars really during the summer months at all, because those heat up very rapidly. So that's kind of what the big picture is going on. It's going to get very hot for this weekend, unfortunately. Hey, Karen, how are you? It's nice to see you. Happy Friday to you. I think this will be pushing through Warner Robins still. Might not be as strong as what we're seeing on the radar right now. I think it is beginning to fall apart, but you could get some of these storms that are pushing through. Notice that the storms are really diving to the south. It did lose some of its intensity, but it looks like it's beginning to pick back up. Usually the more lightning strikes that we see, the higher some of those storms, the stronger some of the storms are. So right now, it looks like the heaviest storms are going to be moving into Butts County here over the next half an hour or so, but I think this will still make it into the I-75 corridor down towards Macon, Warner Robins, and Perry over the next several hours. Probably not going to get here till about 10:30 or so, and it might be beginning to fall apart as it does with generally hit or miss, but it's not going to be an all-day rain with this. We'll get a little break, but then the storms will fire up again towards the afternoon and evening with some more pop-up general summertime thunderstorms. But notice, even off to the west further, over near LaGrange, there's still a lot of lightning strikes out there too. So this is all headed our direction over the next several hours. Luckily, there's no severe storms with this. I generally don't think that storms coming out of Alabama will increase in our viewing area, but we still could see two of these storms really get a strong updraft going and produce some of those damaging winds. So that's really the main threat, but not seeing widespread severe weather for today. Even stepping out this morning, when I was coming to the station, I noticed it was a lot more humid out there. Temperature-wise, it's still pretty standard. It's about the same as yesterday. It's 77 in Macon right now. It's 80 in Butler, 79 in Dublin, but the dew points felt a little more stickier heading out today. So we have mostly dew points in the mid-70s right now, even a few areas in the upper 70s. That's really that tropical air mass. So when we get these storms rolling through, they can dump a lot of rain in a short amount of time, in addition with that frequent lightning or those gusty winds as well. So definitely a good idea to stay weather aware. Thank you, Ryan, for saving to never leave anyone in the car. Exactly, especially the pets, Karen. I got you. I remember. I remember. Yeah, so definitely going to be a bit more of an active day today than tomorrow is going to be. I can't stay on here too long with this because we do have a few more things that we have to do back here at the station, but I think I have a few more minutes. So kind of planning out your day in terms of some of these rain chances today. We're already getting some of the storms firing up. We have a few isolated storms rolling through, but from about the next 15 minutes or so, 9 o'clock till 1, we'll get that line of scattered storms to push through. We get a little bit of break through the early afternoon, but then about 4 or 5 o'clock, the rain chances go back up with those pop-up storms that'll be forming. So still just going to be a bit more active, and I'll show you the 10-day, excuse me, here really fast with kind of what's the big outlook going like. So we have rounds of storms today up to 92. Saturday and Sunday, the second half of the weekend, we'll keep the chance for some isolated storms around, but notice the air temperature's up to 98. Feels like temperatures well into the triple digits. Sunday and Monday, we could get a stray shower. I wish we had higher rain chances to kind of knock down some of this high heat. Both days in the upper 90s. Feels like temps well into the triple digits. We will likely be seeing some heat alerts issued. So over the next 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, definitely want to stay cool. We have a cold front that'll be pushing through on Tuesday. That'll give us some more scattered thunderstorms up to 97 degrees for that day, but then that finally drops temperatures down to more seasonable levels for next Wednesday, up to 94 and then 95. So that's really kind of the lookout over the next little while, but still having to deal with this high heat. I'm so tired of this heat. I can't wait for fall and summer. Hi, Mary. How are you? Thanks for being here. So we have a little bit of time here. I'm going to let the radar loop for a little bit longer. You may see some graphics also flash up, but I'm going to let this run for about the next 15 minutes or so. And then I'll come back with another update as the storms will be pushing through in about the next 15 minutes or so. So we'll come back for an update around 9:05, as I've got a few more things I have to do, but then we'll come back and check on the radar to see what's going on. Otherwise, download the WGXA SKYWATCH weather app if you don't have it. It's really even helpful for me because you can put your location right on the app and it'll physically say out loud to you if there's a watch or a warning over you. There's no kind of extra steps that you have to go through to be weather aware. It tells you specifically when there's a warning or a watch over your area. You don't get bombarded by all of the warnings and watches over Middle Georgia. It's just specifically for your location. So really a good idea to download the WGXA SKYWATCH weather app. It's such a handy tool. You get the radar right on your phone. Even when it's not rainy, you can look at the temperatures, the forecast on there. So that's really the best place to be for staying weather aware through the day today. So I'll be back at an update for about 15 minutes with some of the storms that are rolling through. Otherwise, have a great weekend if I don't chat with you again. All right, hello everyone. We are back with a little update of what's going on right now. Right now, still no severe weather out there, which is some good news, but it is still some gusty thunderstorms that's pushing through middle Georgia right now. The National Weather Service is reporting that there could be winds up to about 40 miles per hour, which is not part of that severe criteria, but it could cause some minor damage. Any kind of unsecured outdoor furniture could be blown over, and any trash bins. So it's definitely still going to be a good idea to stay weather aware throughout the day today with these storms pushing through. And even after this one line completely moves through our area, we're not quite done with the rain chances for today. A few more storms could be firing up in the afternoon, generally like that August summertime pattern. Notice though that this is already starting to weaken, so that's really some good news. Notice here over the past 20 minutes or so, specifically this area kind of has lost some of its energy. It's beginning to kind of rip itself apart, but still some areas over to the west, just north of Columbus, still frequent lightning. So even though this one line is kind of breaking up, we still could get a few areas of just localized heavy downpours and frequent lightning with some of these strong thunderstorms. But it's just going to be an active evening for the rest of today with them pushing through. So here's where they are specifically right now. They're just at Forsyth right now. Almost all of Butts County right now, frequent lightning, heavy downpours, that red on the radar, just starting to inch into Forsyth, but still High Falls State Park getting a heavy downpour if you're heading along 75 up towards Atlanta. Still getting some of that rain. Few lightning strikes. Lamar County, Barnesville, getting the downpours right now. Thomaston, you're now getting some more of these heavy downpours too. Starting to push towards Culloden, Bolingbroke, towards northern Crawford County, Musella. Then it's going to be headed towards Macon, Warner Robins, Perry, and then further off to the south and east over the next few hours. I think we still have probably about 45 minutes to an hour before it actually makes it into downtown Macon, and then even longer for areas to the south and west. But it is beginning to kind of fall apart. We'll have to see what specifically this one cell does that's north of Columbus right now and how that's going to be acting, because that should also be headed down in our direction. Looks like the trajectory could be having it head just south of Upson County towards Taylor County and towards Roberta. So we'll have to see how that holds together, because that's probably the most strong portion of these storms right now that are producing about that 40 mile per hour wind gust. The actual wording from the National Weather Service says a line of strong thunderstorms along a line extending from Mountain Park to Kellytown to near High Falls State Park to near Meansville and moving east at 50 miles per hour. These are reporting heavy rain, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. With these storms, expect minor damage to tree limbs blowing around, light unsecured objects. Heavy rain could cause temporary street flooding, especially in poor drainage areas. So that's kind of what we're expecting. And we're saying the storms are moving about 50 miles per hour. So that's a little bit faster than what I had tracked out earlier. Let's put another track on this, potentially with the storms moving at 50 miles per hour, and see where they're headed. Specifically, let's do about over the next about an hour and a half or so. So these are the names of some of the paths with the storm that could be pushing through. Thomaston, really right now until 9:11 or so. Monticello at 9:16, Gray at 9:29, Lizella, Macon 9:34, 9:35, Dry Branch at 9:43, Milledgeville at 9:53, Warner Robins at 10:01, Perry at 10:13, Dublin at 10:28, Cochran at 10:31, and Hawkinsville at 10:40. So that's just a general estimate of when these storms could be right over top of you. And you really don't want to wait until the storms are over top of you to be inside. Of course, anytime you hear the rumble of thunder, that's when you really want to head inside right away. If you're close enough to hear that rumble of thunder, you're also close enough to get struck by lightning. But really noticing that it's falling apart right here, this area specifically over Upson County and Thomaston. We'll have to see if anything begins to fire back up specifically with this cell, if they kind of congeal and form a stronger thunderstorm, and this other little pocket right near LaGrange north of Columbus. That's another big thunderstorm that is also headed our direction. We'll have to see how they pan out. Let's go ahead and look at the wind structure again with these storms. Remember, the green is moving towards the radar site. The radar site's down here now, so the winds are moving towards the radar site, and the red means they're moving away. We're seeing a lot of bright greens. That's generally a sign that there's stronger winds being reported, that the radar is indicating. The radar is indicating in Lamar County winds almost 60 miles per hour. So this is definitely still a pretty powerful thunderstorm that's pushing through. That's in Lamar County, right near Forsyth right now. You're just kind of on the beginning of these storms. Winds still gusting up to 45 miles per hour. Still can cause a little bit of damage with winds that strong. We've just been dealing with rounds of heavy rain and storms, all week long. And luckily things are going to be quieting down for the weekend, but it's going to be turning much hotter. High Falls State Park, winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour, but specifically this one little pocket, southern Lamar County, northeastern Upson County, that's 55 miles per hour there. That one almost had 60. If the winds did get up to 60 miles per hour, that is considered severe, but that's just radar indicated, not necessarily what is exactly happening, but what the radar could be indicating those winds are. So even if these aren't severe, they're producing some pretty gusty winds that are pushing through. I don't think any of these storms are reporting hail. Yeah, no hail with these storms, so that's some great news. Usually when you get hail, that's an indication that the storms are very powerful. They have very strong updrafts that are heading into the storm. Higher up in the atmosphere, temperatures actually cool with height, so at the very, very top of these clouds, the rain is actually frozen. It's ice, and when there's strong updrafts, that ice is not actually able to fall. It's literally blowing the ice back up into the cloud higher and higher. And the stronger those updrafts, the stronger the thunderstorm. And as these ice particles continue to fly up and up and up and back around, they add more ice onto them, and that's where the hail, once it becomes too large for that updraft to hold, that's when it falls on the ground as hail. So that's usually an indication that there's very strong thunderstorms. So it's a good news that we don't have any hail out there. But that doesn't mean we couldn't see it for the rest of today. We do have a severe risk for our entire viewing area today. On a scale out of 1 to 5, we're under a 1. This means we could see some isolated storms turn severe. No severe weather with us right now, but definitely some gusty thunderstorms that are pushing through. So tracking some of the storms right now over basically all of Butts County, starting to push into Jasper County along 221, Indian Springs State Park, Jackson, towards Monticello. Quite a bit of some lightning strikes there. Monroe County, right over top of you right now. High Falls State Park, right along 75 towards Forsyth. You're in the path of these storms right now, over towards Barnesville, Juliet, Lake Juliet, closing in on Bolingbroke too. A little bit further, Lamar County, towards Upson County, also getting these downpours too. Thomaston, not a lot of lightning over your area, but still getting that pretty good downpour over you. Here's Culloden, right in the path of the storm as well over the next 15 minutes or so. So today's a day to stay pretty weather aware. Hi Hannah, how are you? Twiggs County, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well today. Hi Ed John, how are you too? Hope you're doing good. Hi Danny. Hi Danny, how are you? Yes. What time will this affect Dublin? Dublin will be a little bit later today. I would say this could be getting more to Dublin probably over the next hour and a half to 2 hours, probably about 2 hours. I would say probably closer to 11 o'clock when the storms will be pushing through, kind of through Lawrence County. These may not even hold all the way down there. They may continue to fall apart as we're seeing up here. These kind of two separate areas are pushing apart when they're heading south and east. So you may even not see some rumbles of thunder with this one, but I think there is still a pretty good shot of that happening. And I would say probably about 2 hours from now, an hour and 45 to 2 hours, right around 11 o'clock, I'd say. It's probably when you're going to want to keep the radar app handy, the WGXA SKYWATCH weather app handy, and look on the radar there to see exactly where these storms are and if you're going to need to be in your kind of inside away from some of these storms that are pushing through. Some of the models are showing that even this afternoon, with these storms pushing through, it still is another active evening. Even after this line pushes out, we get some more storms that are bubbling up around 3, 4 o'clock. So it's going to be unsettled at times today. But tomorrow and the weekend is looking a little bit better. It's just going to be a lot hotter for the weekend, which is really not amazing because it feels like temperatures could be surging well into the triple digits. We've been dealing with so much heat and humidity really this entire summer, and strong storms, and the pattern just isn't breaking. Even today, areas where it doesn't rain, that feels like temp could get about to 102. Pretty standard, honestly, but notice Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it feels like temperature is in that extreme danger category. When temperatures feeling like they're above 110, that's when usually excessive heat warnings are issued. Those are very far and few between anyway here in Middle Georgia. We had one issued on Monday, but the time before that, we only had one issue. We had one issued over 400 days ago last June, and the one before the one last year was issued, I think, about like 2010. So it's been a very long time. It was either 2010 or 2012. So it was like 10 years before the last one that we had an excessive heat warning issued. We may get another one over the next few days. So they're pretty rare, and just for that we're getting this much heat and humidity just combined together for feels like temperatures nearing that is pretty substantial. So over the weekend, definitely do want to stay cool with all the heat around. Luckily, it is more to the weekend. I know usually the weekend's the fun time to go outside and enjoy yourself. Just do it. Maybe have an indoor option if you need to cool off. Take a cool bottle of water so that you can remain cool in some of this high heat that is going to be pushing through. So hey Betty, how are you? What about Cadwell? Yeah, about the same with Dublin with that. Let's go back to the radar. Probably closer to 11 o'clock for you as well with the storms, but even after this one line pushes through, still could get some storms bubbling up by the afternoon. So you're still probably about an hour and 45 or 2 hours away from this actual line moving through your area. But notice that these storms really are beginning to fall apart, specifically over Thomaston right here. Notice we're getting a little bit of some breakage of that what was the line. It's kind of almost falling apart and separating into these two storms. So this one could be kind of headed this trajectory through Milledgeville and towards Washington County, and then this other strong storm could be headed further down along I-16 potentially. So we'll have to see how these play out, but still over the next few hours, just stay weather aware with these storms pushing through. They're not severe storms, but they're producing some gusty winds, potentially 40, 50 miles per hour. Severe criteria is when we get above 60. That produces those damaging winds, but we do have a risk. One or two of these storms or areas and pockets of this may still turn severe. So that's just what we're watching for today and even through the evening hours tonight with what's pushing through. Exactly. So planning your day out today, if you still have any of your Friday evening plans, some isolated storms are really pushing through right now. By around lunchtime, it's pushing through mostly south and east. I think at this point around lunchtime, it'll be south and east of Macon and Warner Robins heading near Dublin and Cadwell. And then 4 o'clock, those isolated scattered thunderstorms just bubble up, not necessarily any driving force for them. Hard to tell exactly where these will set up through the evening hours tonight, but it still will be pretty active once this line pushes through with some storms still firing up through the afternoon. So it's definitely a good idea to stay weather aware throughout the day today. And even through the weekend with that heat, that'll be ramping up. So I think we'll let the radar play out here over the next 30 minutes or so. And we'll see what exactly is going on. We'll do a little update in about 30 minutes or so. We'll come back at 9:45, I think. I'll leave the radar up so that everyone can see exactly where these storms are headed. And we'll be back for an update right around 9:45. All right, hello everyone. We are back with another little update that we've got going on. There is the storms moving through, still no severe weather, and this is continuing to break apart. It's now kind of two separate systems that's pushing through. So that one area that really broke apart has kind of stayed broken apart. Not really any rumbles of thunder between Macon over towards Thomaston. However, from Macon up to the north, that kind of has intensified into a line of its own. So crossing into portions of Putnam County, Jones County right now over Gray, getting the downpours, and then still have a little bit of this activity that's having a few rumbles of thunder into Upson County, heading into Taylor County and into Crawford County. So let's go first through some of the heaviest downpours right now. Also, if anyone's watching on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere, come say hi in the chat, how everyone's doing. Hi, Mikey. Hi, Betty. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you for even saying hello. That's very nice of you to comment that. Thank you, thank you. So let's check out what's happening right now. So here's some of the heavier downpours that's pushing through right over Edenton, down just beginning to push into Baldwin County, but Gray, Round Oak, really the strongest portions of the storm right now, right along this line. Just some more moderate downpours over now to the west in Jasper County, Butts County, Forsyth, still getting a little bit of that. Bolingbroke, we're about to get the rain, just about to push into Bibb County, but still Bolingbroke has most of the heavy downpours. This is about to push towards Lizella, Macon, down through Rutland. So about to push into Bibb County, over towards Crawford County, getting some of these more moderate downpours. Not any lightning strikes near Roberta, Musella, Culloden, but there is a bit more activity into portions. Here's Upson County, Thomaston, and there's a few lightning strikes out towards the west that could be pushing kind of right along the line and pushing into northern Taylor County here. So these storms are moving pretty quickly. There is also a little bit more activity that's still setting up further to the west, but still no severe weather out there. So that's really some great news. We don't need any more severe weather. We've had so much severe weather already this week, and even up towards Athens, really another bit of a strong thunderstorm that's brewing over there. So these are still coming with some gusty winds up to about 40 miles per hour, potentially even up towards 50. Kind of some of the latest. Let's check what the latest radar is indicating. Yeah, really not showing a whole lot. And usually when we're looking for some stronger winds, we're looking for these brighter greens or the brighter reds, the greens moving towards the radar site. So still having some pretty strong winds that are over into Monroe County and Lamar County, but not seeing a whole bunch of stronger winds right with this line that's pushing through in portions of Putnam and Jones County right now. So that's some great news that there's not a lot of very strong wind gusts right along with the strongest line of the storms. Winds are gusting up to about 20 miles per hour along here. So that's really not too bad, but this still could, if you have any outdoor furniture that could be blown around, or if you have any trash bins out, that might blow over too. But that's some great news, is that this isn't producing damaging winds right now, but really some heavy downpours that's pushing through. Let's see potentially what the radar could be indicating. The rainfall rate could be about 2.5, around 2.5, almost 3 inches here. So usually when the rainfall rate gets about 3 inches per hour, that's really that blinding rain. If you're driving through the blinding rain, you're not able to see very far in front of you. So we're getting a little bit near that right now with this kind of line of storms that's the strongest, but behind that really isn't any really terrible storms. So some great news with that's pushing through. Really not much in terms of updates from the National Weather Service. They're still calling for these portions of storms to have potentially up to 40 mile per hour wind gusts and frequent cloud to ground lightning. And these are still moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So they have slowed slightly. They were moving about 50 miles per hour before. Now they're moving a little bit slower. Let's check out some of the paths of these storms once again, because this is still most likely will be impacting Macon, Warner Robins, down towards Dublin, although especially through this area right here, it's falling apart. So it may even begin to fall apart further in this direction. It looks like this kind of line trajectory is headed more for the northeastern counties in Baldwin, Washington, Hancock County. Even it's kind of moving almost directly due east towards portions of Hancock County. You're really probably up next in Baldwin County, Milledgeville. Probably going to get the strongest of these storms pushing through, but areas kind of south of McIntyre, Wilkinson County might get a few heavy downpours, a few lightning strikes, but looks like you're going to miss out on the bulk of this line that's pushing through. So with these moving about 45 miles per hour, let's put a bit of a tracker out on this. It is also a good news that it is slowing down slightly. So here over the next about an hour and a half, these are some of the paths and the names of some of the storm. Milledgeville at 9:56. So you are really in some of the stronger storms right now. So even before the rain gets over you, now is the time to really be inside. Butler at 10 o'clock, Byron at 10:02, Warner Robins at 10:10, Perry at 10:20, Danville at 10:25, Montezuma at 9:36, Sandersville at 10:38. Also could get a bit more of the stronger storm for Sandersville. Dublin at 10:45. Wrightsville at 10:47, Cadwell at 10:57, Eastman at 11:05. That's really past most of this at this point. That's about an hour and a half away potentially if this holds through together. But luckily we're not seeing really any severe weather out there, so that's really always some great news. I do think it'd be cool to show you what's going on outside right now. Let's see if I can pull up one of our cameras. I think this is looking out over Macon right now. So this is what it looks like outside in Macon. Just some clouds generally out there right now, but definitely getting some darkness there out over the distance. Let's see if I can turn the camera a tiny bit. A little bit closer to some of these storms. Might also be good to look at over our Mercer camera. I'm going to try to tilt the camera over here. Pretty cool shot that's coming through here. Kind of giving you the both worlds that's pushing through. You can see the clouds to get a little heavier here. The rain most likely is still off in the distance, but see the kind of the clouds rolling in. Notice they're even kind of waving through here. Pretty spectacular sight to see. Let's pull up our Mercer camera, see what this is looking like too. So this is out over Mercer University. Still looking out over the north. Looks like we can see a little bit of some darker clouds out in the distance, but still is a bit farther away. In the specific area that's coming through, Macon and Bibb County right now, really not the heaviest downpours. It's pretty cool to see how the clouds are shaping up through here. Kind of interesting with how these are pushing through. But right now we are dry in Macon. But even after this line pushes through, we are expecting some pop-up storms this afternoon that could potentially even produce even more downpours and gusty winds. This is showing about 3 o'clock. We still have some storms that are out there. Likely this line will have pushed through then, and even with some of the storms, since they're not necessarily the strongest, we have the one line that's pushing through Jones and Putnam County that is rather strong, but areas Macon to the south, it's generally some normal thunderstorms, some downpours. So if it doesn't completely energize itself out, the atmosphere could have some extra juice to be producing some strong thunderstorms through the evening tonight. Hopefully that won't be the case, but we still will keep the chance for some scattered thunderstorms through the evening. Now, really what the bigger news is, after tonight, this is going to open the door for some very hot and humid air to be filling in. Over the next 5 days, these feels-like temps could be rather hot. Tomorrow, our feels-like temperature could be up to about 111, 113 on Sunday, and 113 on Monday. So these are all some pretty high temperatures that could be pushing through right now. I think I have this graphic slightly messed up. Here we go. So it still is going to be rather hot. On Monday, on Saturday and Sunday, we're up to 113. If we actually are above 110, that would prompt an excessive heat warning to be issued. These are very rare in Middle Georgia. We've only had 8 issued since 2007. We did have one on Monday where we recorded that feels like temperature of 116. So we could potentially have some areas or above 110 for both the days this weekend. Even Monday, above 105 is in that dangerous category where a heat advisory would likely be issued. We're still a little too far out from the warnings and the watches and the advisories being issued for the heat. They usually are generally out about 12 hours. So by the evening tonight, For our evening shows, for the 5, 5:30, 6, and 11, we should have some sort of warnings or advisories issued for the days, at least for Saturday. They usually are issued generally pretty close in advance. I think it's about 12 hours out rather than a longer issue with the warning being put in place. So that's what we're kind of looking ahead. I think we are issuing weather warn days for these 3 days just for that extreme heat that'll be pushing through. So that's something to keep in mind is this weekend, it is going to be rather very hot and humid. So of course, throughout the weekend, just have a way to stay hydrated. Don't do any strenuous things outside. If you wanted to get any yard work done, anything outdoors, may want to wait till the middle of next week because the heat is just going to be pretty sweltering and unbearable both days. And of course, make sure the pets have somewhere to be cool as well. They always need some nice cold drinking water. Probably don't want to take the pets for any kind of walks on concrete this weekend either. You know, their paws can't really handle that high heat. We have our shoes that we can walk on, but they just kind of have nothing. They don't have any shoes to walk through, but it's going to be really hot this weekend. Even today, it was noticeably more humid. Our dew points right now, mostly in the mid 70s. Some areas are getting dew points up in the 80s. So that is really a tropical, sweltering air mass over top of us. And when we have so much moisture in the atmosphere, when these storms fire through, they're able to drop a lot of that rain in a short amount of time. Shouldn't we have to worrying about too much flooding issues for tonight? But that issue with these storms that are rolling through tonight and today, a bit more of an active day right now. So here's about a look at the radar, wider view. Still is relatively quiet for areas south and east of Macon. There's really just a line of these storms that are pushing through. And behind it, most of that thunderstorm activity is over. Going to get a little bit of that stratiform rain, and then it'll be quieting down. Hopefully this will really kind of wring out the atmosphere because we do have that potential for storms this evening, but hopefully this will kind of take out the energy. It's like the atmosphere is doing a little bit of an exercise here. Hopefully it knocked out all its energy, so it's not able to really get up and fire these storms again this evening. But really that's the strongest line of storms right now. Has still kind of fallen apart through Macon and towards the southwest, but still could come with some rumbles of thunder. But really these strongest storms still moving through Gray and Edenton, Milledgeville, Lake Sinclair, all really up next for this more powerful storm that's right along Putnam, Jones County, and pushing into portions of Baldwin and Hancock County over the next half hour or so. So really throughout the day today, and even through the weekend with some of that heat, if you don't have the WGXA SkyWatch weather app, always the best option. It's so easy. It tells you when there's watches and warnings. There's no kind of, you have to go find any of the warnings or watches. It's right there. It tells you so you can stay weather aware, and it's really easy to do so. And it doesn't bombard you with all of the watching warnings. It does only for your area specifically. So that's really also great. If you see any great pictures, always chime in with our website, wgxa.tv/chime in. Love to see some of your pictures. We even could show it off here on TV. So if you get any great pictures of some clouds or some storms, of course you don't want to be outside in these storms, but if you have any spectacular shots, we'd love to see them. Also tag me on my Facebook or Twitter pages. Love to interact with those as well. But this is mainly what's going on right now. Most of the heavy storms through Gray, up through Edenton, about to push through Milledgeville, Sparta. Heads up, these stronger storms are heading your way. Notice it's a small band of storms. The heaviest downpours really for 20 minutes or so, and then you're gonna get some stratiform moderate rain for a bit longer. Even still Forsyth, probably still getting a little bit of rain pushing through here. So it's about to push into Macon and downtown. It's already raining in North Macon. Here's 75 and 475s over there. Lake Wildwood, Lake Tobesofkee, Dry Branch, Lizella. Let's see if we can see any of these storms out here right now. I think I still have the Mercer camera pulled up. So that's what it looks like at Mercer right now. Not too bad. Let me see if I can pull up the Macon camera though. Yep, still some clouds. The rooftop is now, it does look like the rooftop is a bit wet. I think we might have gotten a bit of a downpour out ahead of that main line. Let's see if I can turn the camera around a little bit. These cameras are so finicky with moving them. The camera. Yeah, it looks like the roof got a little wet here. Definitely can see some ponding out there on the roof of the station. Doesn't look to be like it's raining too hard here right now though, as we're kind of just on the fringes of some of the heavier downpours. Turning to look over at Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. People are having their merry way. Are getting a bit of a breeze out again with that storm that's pushing through right now, west wind at 10 miles per hour. I'm sure once the storms push through, we'll get the wind out of the northeast after that. So they'll shift pretty rapidly. You even can see some of the trees there shaking with some of those stronger winds that are kind of coming out at the front of the storms and that outflow boundary that's pushing out. So yeah, just coming over Megan. It looks like it's trying to miss us. So notice how it's moving up as these storms have been falling apart from Macon to the southwest. Looks like most of it's being picked up by that stronger storm that's extending north, that's heading into Milledgeville and Hancock County. Just raining north of downtown, pretty heavy downpour there, but not really any lightning strikes and not really seeing any stronger storms. Notice how kind of fallen apart this has been. There's little pockets of the yellows. There's not really any of that red. There's a little bit of a stronger cell right now that's pushing south of Thomaston in Upson County, but really not getting any severe weather with this, which is really always the best news. Oh, notice, look at this storm that fired up over Sparta right now. That could be something from the outflow boundary that came from this, and it kind of sparked with another lifting mechanism, and Sparta got a little bit of a downpour here. These storms are moving pretty fast. They're barreling right now. Already over Milledgeville, really it's right on your doorstep right now. And then into Hancock County, Edenton, almost pretty much at the worst, is behind you almost at this point. Still got the heavy downpours just moving into eastern Putnam County. Even Gray, a few lightning strikes still out there, but the worst of it's pretty much done for you. Even this, as it's moved just over the past half an hour or so, already looks like it is kind of falling apart, especially through this southern area, kind of widening where that lightning strikes are. But still some heavier downpours, specifically with this area that's probably causing the most damage, if any, right now. There's no severe weather with this, so the winds are up to about 40 miles per hour with this. It's not any severe storms. It's going to be damaging winds, but it could knock some things around. Let's check on the winds one more time to see kind of what's pushing through. So we're getting to that point in the radar site where it's directly south of here in Jeffersonville, so the winds are moving towards the radar site and moving away. They're kind of crossing that boundary between moving away from the radar site or moving towards it. So let's see if we can kind of get an estimate of how strong these winds could be. 20 miles per hour. Still looks like most of the heavy winds are over towards Butts and Monroe County, which is interesting. That one cell that did pop up ahead of the main line, producing winds of about 30 miles per hour, 25 from that latest click. So still some gusty thunderstorms out there this morning. Just checking social media again. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube anywhere, if you're having a great time, you have any weekend plans you want to share, love to just even have a chat with you, even if it's not necessarily about weather, just to let you know how your day's going. So here's the big picture again. Not everyone is seeing the rain. It really is falling apart right here through Macon over towards the west. I wonder how much of this is actually on the ground and falling, because it's really just falling apart. There's that one stronger cell right here just south of Thomaston, and then the stronger line up through Putnam County right here, and that's extending northwards towards Athens. But otherwise, it's not looking too bad, but even tonight, we're watching for some more storms to be firing through. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and give this a little bit of a break. We'll watch the storms continue to push through. We'll have to see if this actually makes it down to Warner Robins, if Notice it is really falling apart right there. So kind of split up into two separate areas. We'll go ahead, we'll give this a break for about 25 minutes or so. We'll see how this is looking again about 10:30. And then we will give you another update with how the storms are going in just about 25 minutes. All right, hello everyone, welcome back. It is 10:30 now. Just want to hop on here with another little update of what's going on. Still no severe weather out there, so that's really great news that we're really not dealing with a ton of the severe weather. We are still dealing with some gusty thunderstorms, especially through areas right now in Hancock. Move through Milledgeville at this point and pushing into Washington County here. Really the heaviest downpours right now over Sparta, but still notice areas in Macon to the south, it's really fallen apart. There's a little bit that activated just to the areas in northern Macon County and towards Peach County, but really otherwise, there's not a lot of rain in between the two. Just some, it might not even be raining necessarily over Macon. Might be getting a little sprinkle outside, but notice there's really only this green. The yellow's still over towards Forsyth. They're still getting more of a moderate downpour. There's really just not moving through here. A little bit of a rogue cell that pushed through Warner Robins here, but notice the heavier downpours really are over towards McIntyre. Really pushed past Milledgeville at this point, coming up on Sandersville and Sparta here. So really still over more portions of Hancock County, but heads up to Sparta and Washington County. You're in the next to get more of the stronger thunderstorm where winds can be gusting up to about 40 miles per hour. So it is still a little bit more of an active day today, and they should be clearing out over the next little while. We do have another little pocket of some rumbles of thunder here near Culloden, just south of Forsyth. Still getting a pretty good moderate downpour over Forsyth right now. In Barnesville, you got that stratiform rain behind this stronger line that's pushing through, even up towards Monticello. Starting to exit out though, right behind here in Jackson and Butts County, starting to clear things out. Another little downpour there that's near LaGrange and just north of Columbus, Langdale. That's pushing through. We'll have to see how that one also reacts as it's pushing. It's kind of standing still almost. There's a little bit of another rogue cell like there was earlier that was up near Hancock County in just northern portions of Macon County, Marshallville. There's Fort Valley, might be getting clipped by some of that Potterville. Even a rumble of thunder with that one, lightning strikes there. Really, here's the heavier downpours that's pushing through. Let's check maybe how fast the winds could potentially be here. You know, we can dive past with our velocity data to get kind of what the wind structure could look like. The green, the radar is just south there, where it's kind of meeting in the middle. So up near Sparta, we are getting more areas of some orange. So that's winds up to 35 miles per hour. Not necessarily damaging per se, but definitely pretty gusty out there with these thunderstorms, up to about 30 miles per hour in most places. So that's really what the scene's looking like. Stay weather aware, as we still could have a few more storms later today. I think hopefully it won't be as active as this at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now that that storm's pushing through, hopefully it's kind of rained itself out. That'll inhibit, kind of not allow more of these storms to fire up. Things will be clearing out though by Friday night, right around 9 o'clock. We should be mostly rain free at this point, and then that heat will really begin to build in. That's going to be the big thing heading towards the weekend. We do have weather warn days that are now going to be in place from Saturday until Monday. This is for dangerous heat. The heat index values, especially these weekends, could be up or above 110 degrees. Still don't have any heat alerts yet, so we're still a little too far out. They're usually issued about 12 hours. So for our evening shows tonight, we'll probably have some heat alerts in effect. Stay cool and hydrated for yourself, your kids, and of course the pets too. Just with all that heat that's sticking around. This is what the 10-day is looking like though. Today we have those rounds of storms. Tomorrow we have some isolated storms, but not as active as today. But notice these air temperatures in the upper 90s. We could get a stray storm on Sunday or Monday, but we really would like some rain these days just because of how hot it's going to be. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Feels like temps well up into the triple digits. A cold front pushes through Tuesday. That'll give us some more scattered thunderstorms, but then more seasonable weather towards Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So unfortunately, even more heat is going to be sticking through. So bottom line, stay weather aware throughout the day tonight. Download the WGXA SKYWATCH weather app, the best way to get the radar. And then after that, the weekend is looking a lot hotter. I think we're going to go ahead and hop off here for a little bit as these storms are beginning to exit out. Not anything severe. Hopefully everything will stay below the severe criteria for tonight. Otherwise, make sure to check back in with WJXA News on Fox 24 at 5 p.m. tonight. We'll be back here live on YouTube at 5:30, and then we'll be on ABC 16 at 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. Chief Meteorologist Ryan Marando will have the latest tracking some of these storms and what the highest heat levels could be coming up for the weekend. Otherwise, if I don't chat with you again, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.